There is something about Los Angeles in the 1980s that anyone who lived through it remembers very clearly. The city was bright at night, loud during the day, always carrying the feeling that it was moving faster than the rest of America. The neon lights never turned off. The air was heavy, the smell of car exhaust familiar, but the rhythm of life was always full of energy. During that period, Los Angeles was pushed to the top by a vibrant entertainment industry, a booming television scene, music echoing everywhere, advertising filling the eye, along with a service economy that was rapidly expanding. Everyone seemed caught in the pull of opportunity. Hollywood shimmered with glamour. Sunset Boulevard glowed with lights, long stretches of white sandy beaches, freeways jammed with traffic, giant billboards blocking the sky. Come with me as we move back through time, walk along those lively streets, sit in a car surrounded by gridlocked traffic, and recreate the feeling of truly living in Los Angeles back then. Los Angeles in the 1980s meant living in specific places and dealing with clear realities. Many residents lived in San Fernando Valley, including Van Nuys, Burbank, and North Hollywood. These areas were dominated by single-family homes and low-rise apartment buildings. A typical three-bedroom ranch-style house in San Fernando Valley cost around $136,000 in 1980. By 1989, similar houses were selling for more than $260,000. Prices increased steadily throughout the decade. Most houses were one-story with a driveway and a small yard. Interiors were practical. Wall-to-wall carpet in brown or beige, large fabric sofas, window-mounted air conditioners running for most of the day. Central air was not universal. Apartments were usually 2 or 3 stories, built in the 1960s or earlier. Parking lots were shared, stairwells were narrow, noise traveled easily between units. Home ownership was treated as a financial decision, not an emotional one. Buyers focused on mortgage payments, proximity to freeways, and school districts. Square footage mattered more than design. Renting was common, but rent increases pushed many people to consider buying earlier than planned. Housing affected work choices. People stayed at jobs to keep up with payments. Long commutes were accepted if the house was affordable. Conversations often included interest rates, monthly payments, and neighborhood turnover. Entertainment in Los Angeles in the 1980s functioned as an everyday industry, not a distant dream. Hollywood Boulevard remained active throughout the day. Tourists mixed with locals heading to work. El Capitan Theater operated as a major movie venue, while nearby storefronts sold film posters and memorabilia. Sunset Strip was busier at night, with constant traffic and visible security. Nightlife centered on specific locations. Gazares on Sunset Strip hosted rock bands almost every night. Clubs opened late and closed early in the morning. Music was loud, schedules were tight, and turnover was constant. Not everyone came to be famous. Many worked as bartenders, sound technicians, runners, or security. Television production was a major employer. CBS Television City and ABC Television Center operated year-round. Crews worked long hours. Daytime shows, sitcoms, and commercials were recorded on fixed schedules. Freelance work was common. People tracked jobs week by week. Advertising was everywhere. Large billboards lined Sunset Boulevard and major intersections. Promotions for movies, albums, and television shows dominated the skyline. Residents saw the same faces repeatedly on their way to work. Entertainment shaped daily routines. Work hours ran late. Traffic increased at night. The city stayed active well past midnight. This was not occasional excitement. It was the normal operating state of Los Angeles at the time. Sports in Los Angeles during the 1980s were tied directly to the city image. The largest event was the Summer Olympic Games in 1984. The main venue was the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Events were spread across existing facilities rather than new construction. This included the Rose Bowl in Pasadena and venues at UCLA. The city relied on infrastructure already in place, which reduced long-term costs and limited disruption. The Olympics brought visible changes. Streets near venues received new signage. Public transportation routes were adjusted. Security presence increased across central areas. Residents noticed more international visitors, especially around downtown Los Angeles and Westwood. Local news focused daily on schedules, traffic closures, and medal counts. Professional sports remained part of regular life. The Los Angeles Lakers played at the Forum in Inglewood. Games drew large crowds and television coverage extended beyond California. Sports talk radio discussed games alongside traffic and weather. Sporting events affected daily routines. Commute times changed on game days. Parking near major venues became limited. Restaurants near stadiums stayed open later. For many residents, sports were not background entertainment. They were scheduled events that shaped evenings and weekends. Sports reinforced Los Angeles as a national and international city. The Olympics made this visible to outsiders. Local teams kept it visible to residents every week. Transportation and infrastructure shaped daily behavior more than any other factor. Los Angeles depended on freeways. The Hollywood Freeway, Santa Monica Freeway, and San Diego Freeway carried traffic from early morning to late night. A commute of 15 to 20 miles could take more than an hour during peak periods. This was expected and planned for. People left home early and returned late to avoid congestion. Most residents drove alone. Carpool lanes existed, but were not widely used. Public transit played a minor role for most workers. Buses were slow. Rail options were limited. Driving was the default choice. Smog was part of the routine. Air quality warnings appeared regularly on local news and radio. Morning skies often looked gray rather than blue. People closed windows, ran air conditioners, and adjusted outdoor plans without discussion. This was treated as normal city life. Gas stations were frequent along major roads. Prices were posted in large signs visible from traffic lanes. Drivers checked prices daily but rarely changed routes because of them. Fuel stops were built into commutes. Radio was constant. AM stations delivered traffic updates and talk shows. FM stations played pop and rock throughout the day. Traffic reports repeated every few minutes and rarely surprised anyone. Infrastructure did not feel new or modern. It felt crowded and overused. Roads connected everything, but they also dictated schedules, jobs, and social lives. Movement defined how the city functioned. The economy of Los Angeles in the 1980s moved fast and demanded constant attention. Most employment growth came from service industries. Television production, advertising agencies, music studios, and support services provided steady work. CBS Television City and ABC Television Center operated year-round. Crews worked fixed schedules, often starting early and finishing late. Freelance contracts were common, especially in editing, lighting, set construction, and sound. Office jobs expanded in downtown Los Angeles and along Wilshire Boulevard. Advertising firms handled movie releases, album promotions, and television campaigns. Deadlines were tight. Overtime was normal. People expected work to spill into evenings and weekends. Consumer spending reflected confidence. A new Chevrolet Caprice sold for roughly $11,000 to $13,000, depending on trim. Fast food was part of daily routine, especially late at night. Meals were quick, cheap, and convenient after long shifts. Convenience mattered more than quality. Money circulated quickly. Paychecks came regularly, but expenses followed just as fast. Housing costs increased. Gas, food, and insurance added pressure. Saving felt difficult. Many lived month to month without describing it as financial stress. The economy rewarded availability. Being flexible mattered more than long-term planning. People stayed reachable, accepted last-minute work, and adjusted schedules constantly. Employment was steady, but security felt temporary. This was a city where income depended on staying active. Stopping meant falling behind. That understanding shaped how people worked and how they spent. Air quality remained a constant issue. Smog reduced visibility across much of the city, especially in the morning. Local news stations issued air quality warnings often enough that people stopped reacting. Outdoor exercise was postponed. Windows stayed closed. Breathing problems were common topics, but rarely discussed in depth. Traffic created long days. Time lost on freeways added stress but was treated as unavoidable. Arriving late was normal. Leaving early was strategic. Schedules were built around congestion rather than clocks. Work pressure increased competition. Entertainment and media attracted more people than available long-term positions. Many jobs were temporary. Layoffs and contract endings happened without warning. People moved frequently between companies and roles. Crime affected behavior. Car break-ins were common in certain neighborhoods. Residents locked vehicles carefully and avoided leaving items visible. Some areas felt unsafe after dark. These conditions shaped where people lived and how late they stayed out. Costs continued rising. Housing became less affordable. Insurance and utilities increased. Financial strain existed but was rarely framed as a crisis. Most adjusted by working more hours or taking additional jobs. These difficulties did not dominate conversations. They existed in the background. People adapted rather than protested. Endurance became part of living in Los Angeles at the time. Life in Los Angeles in the 1980s settled into a pattern people recognized without naming it. Days were structured around work, traffic, and obligations. Nights were shaped by distance and fatigue as much as opportunity. People measured their lives in commute times, pay periods, and lease renewals. Freeways connected everything, but they also limited how much anyone could do in a day. There was confidence in the city, even when conditions were difficult. Many believed they were in the right place at the right time. Jobs existed. Money moved. New projects started constantly. If one situation ended, another might appear soon after. The city did not slow down to explain itself. You learned by adjusting. You accepted smog, traffic, and competition as the cost of being there. Complaints were brief. Adaptation was expected. People stayed because leaving felt like giving up momentum. Los Angeles rewarded those who remained active and visible. Being present mattered. Showing up mattered. Nothing about daily life felt historic in the moment. It felt immediate and practical. You focused on the next drive, the next bill, the next shift. Looking back came later. What part of Los Angeles do you remember most? Which freeway did you spend your mornings on? Did you rent, or did you finally buy? Leave it in the comments. Let others recognize their own story. If this feels familiar, you already know why this channel exists. Subscribe to American Time Capsule TV to keep these memories alive.